Okay.
Look, it's been great to come up here to Rocky, and we've just been over to Great Kettle Island. And the reason I'm coming here is I've received so many emails from constituents concerned about this new huge development proposal for the island that I thought, frankly, I better come here and see it for myself. I've had about 760 people say they're really worried about this new expanded footprint, and 3 people who say they think it's a great idea. So I thought, well, there's obviously a range of views, and I'm hoping that today at the public meeting we're holding, we can hear from that range of views and just get a bit more detail about what is a good and sustainable way forward for Great Keppel in a way that supports local business and supports the tourism industry, but doesn't damage those values of Great Keppel that are so beautiful and so worth visiting.
Now, you did a flyover and had a chance to look at it for yourself. What do you think of Great Keppel Island?
It's lovely. I love the Great Barrier Reef. I'm a Queenslander, so it's one of the places that I'm most proud of and would love the rest of the world to see. And it's really important that we make sure tourism is the main focus for the reef. There's some plans in this region for coal ports and coal seam gas export ports with huge dredging, huge shipping increases, some offshore dumping of that dredging material, some really damaging industrialisation proposed for the reef. That's not the way to go, particularly in an age of climate change. We need to make sure we're protecting the reef, and sustainable tourism is the best way to do that. So we're really keen to see the existing resort refurbed and reopened, but not keen at all on the massive expansion that's proposed. You simply shouldn't have huge golf courses, conference facilities, big marinas in a World Heritage area. They don't fit. They're going to love the island to death, basically. So let's develop this island, but do it in a way that protects the values that we all come to see.
You met with some of the locals living on the island. What did they say to you, and what were those talks about?
Yeah, look, I was pleased to hear that most folk have said they do want the existing resort reopened with a bit of refurb to fix it up. But they were very concerned at the location of the proposed golf course, the 750 apartments, 250 hotel beds, 300 eco villas. There's just an absolute proliferation of beds here. It's too much for this little island to take. And particularly with the runoff that's going to basically smother the coral with all sorts of nutrients from the golf course. It's not going to be good for that healthy coral. And some dredging required for the marina in the shallowest part of the island. Seems to be the silliest spot to put a marina. You've got to dig the most. So the locals were concerned that it seems to be an ill thought out proposal, and they think it needs to be shrunk back to a more sustainable footprint. And I think that sounds sensible.
Have you had a chance to have a look over the EIS?
Yeah, look, I've started to read it. It's obviously very long, and unfortunately people were only given a very short time to comment. It is still open for comment. People have got about another 3 weeks to get their comments into the federal government, and I'd urge anyone who's concerned about Great Keppel to do that, because there is quite a bit of detail in the EIS. There's also some concerns that some of the claims made in it are not really backed up by the facts, so we're hoping that the Federal Environment Department really takes a good close look at it and does some independent scrutiny of some of the claims. There's claims about not taking any water from the mainland, but then apparently the island folk have been promised water from the mainland, so it doesn't all add up. There's some issues that need examination there.
So you'd be pushing the Environment Minister to really get in there and get into the meaty detail?
Look, that's right. We've seen this proposal come back and back and back, and it keeps getting knocked back because it's been absolutely unsustainable. This latest version now has a new airstrip, which has got some big excavation associated with it, and the marina has fewer berths, but it's actually going to take up a larger area. So I hope the Environment Department is going to have a very close look, and I hope Minister Burke actually decides that this is probably too big for our World Heritage area, and it needs to be shrunk in a way that won't destroy this lovely island and the World Heritage area in which it sits.
Do you have the power to stop this proposal?
Look, unfortunately not. It doesn't go to Parliament. This is a decision of the Minister, and I'd be urging him to get some independent advice to verify some of the claims that are made in the EIS that seem to be a little perhaps not quite as accurate as they should be. It's up to Minister Burke to make the decision, but he needs to make the right decision here. And at the moment there's this other process on foot to try and assess all developments in the reef and make sure that we've got a sustainable future for the reef. But unfortunately it's not going to look at Great Keppel, and it's not going to look at the big coal ports that are proposed. So we're a bit concerned Minister Burke is making some claims about a sustainable future for the reef, but his actions aren't matching up with his words. So we're wanting to try and make a good decision on this particular development application and protect Great Keppel for the future, protect the local tourism, but make sure that it's done in a sustainable way.
And it's obviously even more important given that AIMS has released its report today saying that coral is disappearing.
Look, that's exactly right. We saw the report today. In the last 27 years, we've lost 50% of the coral cover in the reef, which is just terrible news. And they're saying that if we continue down this path, we'll lose another 50% in the next 10 years. We can't afford to let that happen. The key cause of that, the report says, are storms. And we know with climate change, those storms are only going to get more intense. So it's really important when we're talking about the future of the reef that instead of building all of these new coal and coal seam gas ports, which will make climate change worse, that instead we're focusing on a sustainable tourism future for the reef and building renewable energy for Queensland so that we have our energy needs met, but in a way that isn't going to destroy the reef.
And lastly, can you just tell us the purpose of this afternoon's meeting?
Yeah, look, this is a public meeting. We've come here to Rockhampton. We're not in Yeppoon, which is a bit closer to Great Keppel, but we've had the support of the local Conservation Council to open up today for a public meeting. And I'm basically keen to hear from people what they want to see as the future of their region, and particularly the future for Great Keppel. All views are welcome. And of course that EIS is still open for comment, so I'm hoping today will generate some discussion and will encourage people to have their say to the Federal Minister, and then I'll be raising it with him separately as well. Thanks very much.
Perfect.